things that I struggle with, right, we're sort of moving now the policy debate away from sort of open markets and towards what sounds to me like industrial policy. How are you going to find that balance, right? I mean, you're coming from the private sector making these points about giving us incentives. What I hear from you is you want to intervene on the industrial policy side. How are you going to find that balance to make sure that
it's a permanent balance? I mean, you will not have a stable state, I think. Yeah. It's to have the toolbox, it's to have the right analysis, and then it's the public partnership. I think the de-risking logic rather than the subvention ground logic, that is catalytic.
Right. But this just sounds like decoupling to me from China. Is that fair, or is the?
I don't think you're going to see a sort of a full decoupling. Key products, but I think that's kind of what you're going to see us promoting, is sort of ending in a sort of a single point of failure type dependency, and instead focus on how you have resilience and redundancy across your supply chains.
But is this the high walls, small yards kind of strategy where you build high walls around a certain group of products that you see as critical, or is it?
So I think that approach makes a lot of sense, right? I will also say, of course, the Chinese get a vote in this, right?
And how much are you thinking about the kind of unconstrained demand right now in terms of consumers and behavior? Like, do they need new electronics every single year? Like, how much are we going to look at policies around decarbonization, again, in specific sectors? Any thoughts?
You need them both. You need them both. And that's where our business model will be better if we integrate it as of now. So, the digital capabilities.
But it's got to be part of the original business case. It can't kind of be the afterthought.
That's our whole point about the twin transition. That it has to be the business case.
Yeah.
And it's a moment to build this business case. And that's where the kind of more industrial policy comes in. But I mean, in a way, policymakers, they're a kind of convening hub where the things come together. And where, when you look at the business case, which is tech, which is skills, which is investment, which is a market and regulation, where you have to put it together.
But there's
we don't have
trade-offs you're
time
going to have to make around the sustainability, because it's just not going to be as big as a business case. Like how many Comcast do you need every single year? So when you're predicting that demand a year out, it's like based on, again, a lot of electronic waste in the system.
Yes, but we will have, it will come end of this month, Sustainable Product Initiative, and that will be a regulation which will look at, like we have already for bulbs, and a regulation that defines the sustainability criteria, and that is then the business case as well at the same time.
And in the industry, we're working on that already. So we are preparing from an engineering point of view, not only material, that, for example, the product goes to sleep if it's not used, wakes up if we see Wi-Fi activity. We are already using ocean plastics as an option for doing the plastic. So there is
how much is the little capacitors you were talking about? How much are you recollecting those and then redeploying those in the?
At the level of components, it's very difficult. It's very difficult because the components they have.
Oh, it's very difficult.
No, but the point is that they age. Okay, age, and when you put it back, the quality may be impacted, and then they may consume more power. So
when you think about the raw commodities, and again, how much mining and how much can you actually do in sub-Saharan?
The sort of particularly, I think, on the critical minerals and metals, like we clearly need to be doing a better job on the recycling. No, I mean that, and like as we have thought about, as we've thought about from the U.S. perspective, like where are we deploying incentive-based resources? Like some of that is on the mining side, but at least as much as actually on the recycling side. How do we actually stand up practical systems that will capture more of the waste and bring that as a real source of supply as opposed to kind of a niche source of supply.
Influencing geopolitical, like the instability.
That's why we have to leverage. That's where the public-private partnership comes in, where we have to leverage our government-to-government relations and our tools to make sure that that the environment is the right one. And on raw materials, it's three things, like a triptych. It's sustainable sourcing, wherever it is. It's mining domestically, if we have to. And it's recycling, where we can. And, for example, on magnets, we could be at 30%. We now already have technology to recycle 100% of a battery.
So I think it's about thinking big on the supply chains that will help that recycling as well. You think about recycling hubs and so on and so forth. That requires investment and requires forethought. Otherwise,
But it may be a business case.